Hello, everyone. You're listening to South Bay Sports Radio. I'm your host, Nick Ingram. Today I'm talking with Palos Verdes football coach Guy Gardner. Born in Redondo Beach and a graduate of Maricosta in 1983, Gardner began coaching at the high school level in 1989 and has been at PV since 2009. Friday, he leads the Sea Kings to the program's fifth CIF title game in 15 years. I dig into why he schedules such a tough slate of non-league games, constantly having to switch divisions, and how his impersonation of Superman so many years ago went terribly wrong.
I am here with Coach Guy Gardner, the head football coach at Palos Verdes High School. Coach, thank you for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. Thanks, Nick.
You've been at Palos Verdes since 2009. Do you remember from that first interview?
The first interview to try to get the job?
Correct.
Meeting two great people that somehow I talked them into hiring me. But Chris Bowles and Mike Boyd. Yeah. Yeah. Great guys, by the way. Great leaders.
What do you remember about that interview?
That it was at a tough time switching districts at a time in a recession was going to, that was a big chance. And we both kind of took chances. I took a chance and they took a chance that was going to work somehow, some way. So, in teaching, when you make a move like that, you're starting from zero again. And we just did it, and it worked. But it was tough. It was a tough time to do that during a recession.
What was your plan for this program when you took it over?
Just to work as hard as we could, just to come in and, Coach Fresh did a really good job of, there's so many things here still that are here because of him. And really I just came in and benefited from a lot of that stuff, both physically and then just part of the program. But I think just trying to, first we had to get a staff, and then just get, with the staff, just get a bunch of good people that wanted to try to get the most out of the kids, and I don't know the exact recipe for that, but that's all we were trying to do. So trying to kind of push them as far as we can, push them, yet still have fun.
Now, with that, you've established a culture at Palos Verdes that is continuously talked about among myself in interviews with players and with coaches. What would best describe that culture?
I don't know how to sum that up. It's a lot of people, right? So it's not just me. So a lot of good coaches and hardworking kids who are, young men now that put a lot into what they do. We may not always do everything perfect, but I think there's an effort. I think effort is a big part of it, right? It's high school football, right? So, I think if you try really hard and at what we call the ordinary things, and do what we do, that'll benefit you, not only in football, but take that on outside too, just whatever you're doing, and it's pretty simple, right? It sounds pretty simple, just pretty cliche, do the best you can at what you're doing. And we break that down pretty simple here. We call it one play at a time. Just do the best you can, one play at a time, one practice at a time.
And when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, it's a very, it's certainly not Einsteinian, right? It's pretty simple. It's like, a lot of people say that, and it's very cliche, but for us, we try not to make it cliche. And so when guys come back to us in college and, after college, and, I'll get guys saying, hey, I'm studying and I just got to do this. I just got to study this one question at a time, one test at a time, because really that's all you can do. Otherwise you get too much stuff on your shoulders, and just attack what you can attack.
Your coaching philosophy finds a way to bring out the best in your players. Where was that philosophy born?
Well, probably got to start with my family. I'm sure that was in there. I had a lot of influential coaches in my life, and very fortunate. I've had some that fired me up another way. There were some that I don't know if they would be able to do what they were doing back then. But I had a bunch that were great and pushed you, but yet you know did it with love, and so I was very fortunate to learn from a lot of different people. Uh, my Pop Warner coach, Ron Gonzer, who I still am in contact with, is a father figure of mine. He lives out in Tennessee. We still contact each other all the time. Very positive, influence. And then, my own high school coaches, Herb Henchy, and then coaches that I was able to be around. Larry Petrel, Bill Lyle, Don Morrow, all mentors of mine, and look at Coach Morrow, look how great he is. So I've been very lucky and blessed to be around good people.
Now, with that being said, coaching can be incredibly rewarding, yet incredibly draining at the same time. How do you find the balance?
Yeah, that's hard. And I've heard other coaches say, I don't know. I'm sure there's other coaches that are better than I am at doing that. I'm sure at a lot of times my wife would agree. I hope I'm better now, but still it takes a lot more time. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time because it's your second family. And so to get a complete balance, I don't know. You try, but it's tough, but I am super blessed to have a family that's supportive of it. And I think that's where I'm spoiled. I don't think that happens with everybody, to where, Fridays became very early on family reunions. And, I've got family that come to games, and they have been for years. And in my own family, my own kids enjoyed it. My wife, this is what, 36 years of doing this, so she's been there the whole time. I've been blessed, man. But I haven't always hit that balance. And that's the challenge, I think, with any coach. Somebody asked me, did you ever think of going, trying this in college? Or first of all, I don't think I'm good enough to, but secondly, there's no way I could do this in college with the time commitment they have, whether it's junior college or college. So, I mean, it's tough enough in high school. So I don't know how those coaches do it, but they do it, so time's a tough deal.
You continuously schedule what some call a gauntlet of a non-league schedule. How do you feel that prepares the team not only for league play, but possible postseason play as well?
We've talked about it before. Not always is that on purpose. So, we play in the daytime, at least, this year we played a few night games, but we mostly play in the daytime, and it's hard to get teams to agree to come up here. So it's not always about what teams we want. People think, oh, we just pick whoever we want to play. It's whoever is out there and available, and then who wants to agree to come up here at 3:00 to play if we're having a home game. And usually those are teams that don't care where they play because they're really good. So they're like, yeah, we'll play up there. 3:00 doesn't matter. So that's part of it. That's part of it. It's not always that, but that's part of the scheduling. Otherwise, I don't know. And they changed this whole system up now, right, in the last couple of years. So I don't know. I still think it's the best way to do it. It could backfire on you because of the way the system might be now. And we're in a really tough league too. So, go out, get beat up, and then get right into your tough league. But I still think that's the best way. I think if you want to get better, you play teams that are really good early, and you will see what you need to get better at. Yeah.
The season has seen a lot of PV firsts. You began the season in Hawaii, and as of Friday, the program will have hosted not one, but 2 playoff games on campus. How would you describe this season?
Kind of crazy. Yeah, kind of crazy. Kind of all over the place. Yeah, geographically and kind of emotionally. So yeah, it's the night games here have been really cool for the student body and the kids and their families, and feel bad for the older guys, right, who didn't get to do that. But it's really cool that I don't know all the inner workings of how it all works to get it done, but I know there's a lot of good people that did that, and I've said it before, I thank all of them. So that's exciting. It's cool. It's nice to not have to get on a bus sometimes and play in your own backyard at night. Yeah. So exciting. Hawaii was a whole different, Hawaii was it was good, but that's an adventure. That's an adventure. So very, very lucky that we got to do it. Very fortunate that we got to do it. But it's a lot of work too.
You talked before the season about how this team had its work cut out after losing 20 seniors to graduation. What have you seen from this team over the course of these last 10, 11, 12 games?
I think I've seen improvement, although I will say we still feel we're trying to get better every week, every day. We're still not, I just think there's more improvement to be made. And that comes with the mixture of kids that we have. So we have some, we got some older players, but we're mixed in with some very young players and kind of a mix, right? And with that, it takes a while to figure some things out, to work together, things that you can't really put, you can't fake it. You can't fake that. It's hard to hurry up too. So we've been fortunate to play some extra games. And but there've been times where it's been hard, and but I think they're getting, I think the bottom, as Mike, I think Mike Boyd, our the guy who hired me here, great guy. He used to say, bottom line, everything. Like bottom line is our kids have played hard, and we haven't played perfect, but we played hard. And I think when you play hard, and I know that sounds very generic, but for us, we could see it. If we play hard, we have a chance. We have a chance.
Friday night, the program appears in its 5th CIF title game in 15 years. Have you pinched yourself yet?
No, the thing that just stood out when you said that right there was 15 years. Like, that's a long time. So there's just the amount of time. That's what I need to pinch myself on right now, that time's flying. Like, I just blink and I just remember, 15 years ago, it seems like a couple of years to me, but so that's that's all, So no, I don't, otherwise I'm not, I don't know. I don't look too much backwards, maybe because I don't like how fast time goes. I don't know. But that part I pinch myself, like, my gosh, 15 years already here. Yeah.
What have been some of the X factors to the success of this season?
Just, I think these guys learning to play some roles on the team. And, we got some good guys, we got, a variety of guys, some guys that pretty good players that sometimes don't know exactly how many plays they're going to play on a Friday, don't know how many plays they're going to, so I think finding a role and just working hard and being ready to go when your number is called, that's been a big part of it, because that's a selfless thing to do. And that's hard to do, this day and age, especially, to have guys that, if you're suiting up 55 guys and not all those guys are going to play at a certain, certain amount, some guys are going to play more, some guys are going to play less, some guys aren't going to play at all on a Friday. And I think in order to have a chance of accomplishing a team goal, you have to be a selfless guy but yet have the team appreciate everybody's role, and we talk about it, when you watch the Dodgers, in their first series this year, and somebody's laying down a bunt, and getting the guy around, or some other guy comes up and he's the big, he's the dude that game. Things that don't necessarily make the stat book, but the team knows. That I think we've done a better job of as the season went on.
I did have one question come in from a follower, and he asked, how do you manage the division switching constantly year after year, You've had some of the best teams in PV history going undefeated, 8-2, having to play teams like Mission Viejo, Westlake in the cold. How do you manage those emotions and everything that comes with that?
That's hard. It's hard because you feel for the kids that you got, right? And you're proud of them for working to put you in a division like that, right? Like last year, right? We weren't feeling sorry for ourselves. We're like, wow, okay, well, we earned the right to play in Division Two. You know, should we have been there? Should we not? We can't control that. I don't know, but we're in it, and we're in it because we were 10-0. You know, and those guys know that. That team knows that. You know, and we played a really good football team in Mission Viejo, and we had to go 60 miles away to do it. And you know, that's the system there is now, right? And everybody will debate that. And is there any perfect system? Nope. Nope. Even the one that, you know, years ago when we knew how many teams were in a division, who the teams were, same league, you know, your league goes into a division with like 6 other leagues. That had flaws too. You know, they all have flaws. Older now, so I don't know, I probably like the old system a little bit better, but just because I knew who was what, you know, it just was a little more comfortable that way. But yeah, like that team last year that we had, you know, I still haven't really gotten time to appreciate that team last year. That's one of the best teams the school's had. And we were done after one game. And that's hard. That's hard to accept. And but yet we were very proud of them, and we tried to tell them, hey, look, so you talk about managing it, you know, managing those emotions. Look, you guys earned the right to do this. And this is where we're at now. And yeah, it's tough though. That's tough because I'm sure, you know, you know, we all want to play more. But, you know, Brea Linda kind of had the same thing this year. They went 10-0 and they got put on the road. And I don't know if that's the best.
You've had players in your program go on to play at the next level, go on to play professionally. When you see them succeed at those levels, what does that show you about the kind of work ethic that those guys have?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely awesome. And I'm not saying that we gave it to them. I think we may have helped get it out of them, but they already, you know, they have talent, they have that work ethic. It's just awesome. Really proud of all those guys that go on and play. I mean, there's not many guys that get to go on and play, you know, in junior college and then if they get to go even further, it's so cool, right? And then, but that, you know, and we love that, but we also love the guys that, you know, come back and, you know, they're now in finance, or they're, you know, in real estate, or they're doing whatever, right? And they're doing well, you know. But no, it's really cool, Nick, to see them do that, because we don't get a ton of them, you know. We don't have like, you know, we're not like, you know, some of this, we're not like Long Beach Poly or something like that, where that's just, you know, that's always a thing. So it's really cool.
All right, fun question time.
Okay.
You share a name with the Green Lantern. Who's your favorite superhero?
Yeah. First of all, I didn't know I anything really about that until I was about graduating college, and I went to a store and bought something. I put my credit card down, and the guy in the counter says, you know, I don't know. He says, "Hey, you're Green Lantern." I said, "I'm a what?" And I had no idea. So that's when I first found out. So my favorite superhero, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Probably I want to say Batman, just because he's not really a superhero. You know? I mean, he's got, you know, fun toys and stuff. But I don't know. When I was really little, I think when I was a little kid, it was Superman, because I put on a blanket around my neck and my back when I was like 5 or 6, and I actually ran through a window we had in the living room, which I don't think my parents were really excited about. But I was flying around saying, you know, Superman, and I lost my balance and broke this window and did not scratch myself. So maybe for that 5 seconds, I was Superman. I don't know. So maybe it's Superman, but I kind of like Batman. So it's a tough one, man. That's a tough question. You said fun question, but I'm having a tough time with it.
All right, last one. Say I was unfamiliar with the South Bay, and I asked you where you would recommend a meal for me. Where would you send me?
A meal? Oh, wow. I like, man, I like a lot of different places. If if you want, I mean, if you got like money to spend, and you like a good steak, I like Arthur J's. But let's see, man, there's a lot of places here. I like just about. There's a bunch of Mexican restaurants I like.
What's your top Mexican restaurant?
Probably El Gringo right now, uh, but I like El Burrito Jr. and El Sombrero and a bunch of others. Yeah, and then I like if you're going for brunch, I like Martha's. Got to hit Martha's in Hermosa. Yeah, those are some. There's a bunch. Though. We go to a bunch.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Coach, very much for your time. And I will see you Friday night.
All right, thanks, Nick.
I appreciate you. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Since Gardner took over, the team has missed the playoffs once, his first season. Since that time, PV has won 10 games or more 6 times and just had its string of Bay League championships stopped at 12 this year. Gardner has compiled 132 victories heading into Friday's championship. Joe Walker is the lone Sea King alum to have played in the NFL, but the program's website, seakingfootball.com, lists each player that has gone on to play at the next level. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along. You never know who we'll talk to next.